Rainbow Six
Jaden.
Siege. Released on December 1st, 2015, Siege is a game that no one loves and everyone endures. We're going to look at the full timeline of Rainbow Six Siege and ask, in complete seriousness, whether a psychological shooter game released by a French video game company is responsible for everything that has gone wrong in the world since 2015. We're not going to prove it. We're not going to disprove it. I'm just going to lay out the facts, put them next to each other, and let you make up your own mind. The same week Siege released, world leaders gathered in Paris, Ubisoft's home city, by the way, for COP21, the historic global climate agreement. The year humanity finally got serious about saving the planet is the exact same year Ubisoft released a game. A game that revolves in tormenting players and burning walls and buildings. Coincidence that the world committed to preserving infrastructure right as millions of people started learning how to efficiently destroy it? Some coincidence that. Now, most people's instinct here is to say this is obviously a coincidence. Ubisoft makes games. Games don't cause geopolitical instability. That's a completely reasonable position. But here's the thing. Reasonable people don't know the mental effect on a person who's just lost a 4-5 overtime matchpoint game in Fortress, after his teammate Chunky Goose 8 just dropped a Hall of Fame stinker. Now, the average player does not have any impact on the political state of the world, so saying Siege cause wars would be wrong. Except, infamous child predator Jeffrey Epstein had a Steam account. We know Jeffrey Epstein used to play Fortnite, so why wouldn't he be playing another shooter that involves breaking down walls? So now back to what I said before. Imagine you are Jeffrey Epstein, and you just went 17-5 whilst your bottom frag teammate Gapehorn84 got first picked, because he tried to a spawn peek during match point. I don't know about you, but I'd be pretty angry. Maybe even angry enough to invite political leaders to my house, to my island, and continue from there. To add on, Siege is the successor to a game called Rainbow Six Patriots, a tactical shooter that had a much larger focus on narrative. After Patriots was eventually canceled due to technical shortcomings, Ubisoft decided to reboot the franchise entirely and instead make Siege. What's so bad about Siege? No ending, just conflict on a loop forever. And that matters, because the title has no campaign. A game entirely built around endless, repeatable conflict with no resolution has been running uninterrupted for over a decade now. So have, coincidentally, several actual geopolitical situations that also don't seem to have an ending. I'm not drawing a line. I'm just noting the structural similarity. Just putting it out there, Jeffrey Epstein had many ties to Israel, which coincidentally has caused a lot of problems. Now let's talk about what this game actually is, because I think some people underestimate the scope of it. There are currently 28 maps across 4 game modes, and 77 operators to choose from between attacking and defending. 77 operators, each one pulled from a real counterterrorism unit. The SAS, the GIGN, the CIA Spetsnaz, GSG-9, units from Brazil, South Korea, Morocco, Italy, Japan, dozens of countries, all in one game, all fighting each other every single night for sport, with zero diplomatic consequences in the fiction and apparently zero diplomatic consequences in real life either. Meanwhile, actual global tensions have also been rising since approximately 2015. I'm presenting a timeline. That's all I'm doing. To create authentic siege situations, the development team consulted actual counterterrorism units and looked at real-life examples of sieges. So Ubisoft didn't just guess. They sat down with real special forces operators and said, "Tell us how you do this." And then they put all of that information into a game and handed it to 65 million registered players. Again, not saying anything, just facts on a table. As a person who plays Siege myself, I wanted to talk about the effect it has had on me.
I can give you cock.
As a human being, I now struggle to sympathize due to how incompetent my teammates are. I also now have developed severe anger issues to the point I have to be put in a straitjacket when in public. Another example is Jinzexi. I don't really have to To go into this one, just have a look at the guy and you'll understand.
Finish right here, Daddy.
Here's where it starts to get harder to ignore. A next-generation version launched exactly 5 years later on December 1st, 2020 for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. December 1st, 2020. You don't need me to tell you what was happening in December 2020. The world was deep into a situation that nobody had a name for 2 years earlier. And Ubisoft looked at that moment and said, you know what this needs? More Siege. On the same date. 5 years later. To the day. That's not a coincidence you plan. That's not a coincidence you don't plan either. That's just a fact sitting there, looking at you. And speaking of things nobody planned, in March 2018, Siege ran a limited-time co-op event called Operation Outbreak. It was introduced in the Operation Chimera expansion as a limited-time event with an exclusive collection of cosmetics. The Outbreak event took place in Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, with Rainbow tackling an epidemic ravaging the town. The event later served as inspiration for Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Extraction. So, in March 2018, Ubisoft built an entire game mode around a mysterious outbreak spreading uncontrollably through a civilian population, requiring a coordinated international response to contain it. 2 years before the concept of outbreak became the dominant word in every language on Earth simultaneously. Definitely a coincidence. I am saying that with complete confidence and zero hesitation. Okay. Operation Health, June 2017, Year 2. Season 2, Operation Health. Shipped no new operators and no map. It was a full season dedicated entirely to server stability, hit registration, and a netcode rewrite. Released in place of an expansion, it was a free bug fix and technology introduction program, featuring no new content. Ubisoft released an entire operation just called Health. Not a new map, not new operators, not new content of any kind, just health. The game needed it. Nobody asked how the players were doing. The players were fine. The players were team killing each other out of spite. Which brings me to the next point. The auto-kick and anti-team kill systems in Siege didn't exist at launch. They had to be added later, because so many players were deliberately killing their own teammates, not by accident, not as a strategy, but purely out of spite, that Ubisoft had to write code specifically to stop people from murdering the people on their own side. If that's not a precise snapshot of where humanity was mentally in the mid-2000s, I genuinely don't know what is. The game didn't create that impulse, but it did give it a very clean, well-lit arena to express itself in. And the learning curve of this game is its own separate thing.
This is ew!
Critics and players have described Siege's meta as genuinely overwhelming. Dozens of operators, each with unique gadgets, destructible wall routes that change every map. Counters to counters to counters. Players report needing hundreds of hours just to understand the basic systems before they can compete meaningfully. Coincidentally, that's also roughly how long it takes to understand most late-stage foreign policy. So instead of allowing kids to become future politicians, Ubisoft engineered a whole generation into becoming brainless addicts.
Archer, we're going from fucking copper to fucking champ. Buzz. So let's get it, let's go.
I'm not saying the two are related. I'm saying they share a structure where the longer you're in it, the less confident you feel. And yet you cannot stop. Before I continue, have a look at this totally legitimate, not made up graph. Just putting it out there, make of it as you will. So let's bring this all the way back, because this story doesn't start in 2015. Siege is an entry in the Rainbow Six series, and the Rainbow Six franchise goes back to 1998. That's 27 years of tactical espionage, real CTU consultation, and international operator rosters quietly existing in the background of world events. We've only looked at the last decade. We have barely scratched the surface of what 1998 through 2014 might explain, and I will leave that as an open question for you to sit with. Here's where we actually land. Siege launched December 1st, 2015, the same week the world was trying to save itself in Paris. It ran an outbreak event in 2018 that turned out to be oddly prescient. It re-released on next-gen consoles. On December 1st, 2020, same date, 5 years later, peak chaos. It shipped an entire season with no content except fixing its own health. It required Ubisoft to build anti-spite systems because players couldn't stop attacking their own teams. And it has now been running, with no ending, no campaign, no resolution, for over a decade. Is Siege the cause of all evil and suffering? In my opinion, since 2015, yes. Ask anyone who's touched Siege, and they will also say yes. I hope this video has opened your eyes to the true horrors of Siege, and hopefully, that's worth a follow. I have other video about other stuff from video games. Watch them next. Love y'all.